start to happen to a woman when she reaches the age of 40 that she hadn't exactly planned on happening, but nevertheless, there they are. I'm Linda. This is Linda's World. This is Top 10 Tuesdays, and this is the top 10 things that happen to a woman over 40. If you'd like to know what's on my list, well then, stick around, because this Top 10 Tuesday starts right now. On April 20th of this year, I turned 43. I don't know how it happened myself. There are days when I feel like I'm 9. There are days when I feel like I'm 90. There are days when people tell me I look 34. There are days when I'm mistaken for someone who's 58. Quite frankly, it depends on the circumstances, the lighting, the makeup, and really, how tired I am. Now, nevertheless, 43 is my chronological age, and I'm not ashamed of it at all. I wear it like a badge, and on April 20th of this year, when I put a 4 and a 3 candle on a cake and blow out those candles, well, I'm going to be happy as a clam, because I am embracing fully this new decade, the 40s. Now, as I said earlier in the introduction, there are certain phenomena that occur when you hit 40, and I've noticed that it's not only me, that it happens with many people, mostly women, and some of these things on the list are female specific, so we'll get to that in a moment. But before we do, a favor. No, it's not true. 2 favors. The first favor is, if you're watching this video, I would like very much if you would like the video you're watching and comment down below your thoughts. I'm going to be saying a lot of things this evening, and I'm sure you're going to find something to say. So when I'm done talking, it's all you. You put down in the comment section anything you'd like, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you with my thoughts. Let's start this conversation. Now, favor number 2. Well, this is interesting. As I mentioned, my birthday is on April 20th, and I have a hashtag that I started on Twitter called 100 by 4/2020. In other words, I would like very much for this channel to hit 100 subscribers by April 20th, my birthday. That would be the best birthday present I could ever receive. Now, if you're subscribed already, go you. And if you're not subscribed yet, you go ahead and do so. Now, folks, you might be saying, but I've subscribed already, Linda. Well, that's no matter. All you gotta do is tell a friend. Tell somebody you know who you think might benefit from the content on this channel. I guarantee they're gonna find something that they enjoy between our self-care Sundays, Top 10 Tuesdays, vlogs, sit-down videos. We've got it all. So, thanks a lot for my birthday gifts in advance. And with no further ado, as I often say, because I do a lot, here's our list. These are the top 10 things that change for a woman when she reaches the age of 40. All right. Thing number 10. Well, thing number 10 kind of makes you sound a little boring, but nevertheless, it's preparing for your future. It is that you start becoming more serious about your retirement plans. Now, ladies, I don't know what you guys were doing in your 20s, but when I became a teacher, I was 23, and I assumed retirement was so far off in advance that it would just never happen. I never had that youth invincibility thing, nothing could happen to me. I am the champion. I am a young person. No, I'm actually a fraidy cat. I believe that everything can happen to everybody all the time, okay? It's not that I didn't think I'd ever get older. It's that it just seemed so far away that I did not plan for my retirement. I spent my money as I saw fit. I tried to save my money. I was good at saving for events and things like that, concerts, vacations, new clothing and bags, but not so much for old Linda, as I call her. So currently, younger Linda is saving for older Linda because I've got a plan. Me personally, I'm cashing out my teaching salary in 2032 and heading for Southern California with my best friend, purchasing an apartment and surrounding myself with oceans and King Charles Cavalier Spaniels. But that's me. Women in their 40s, this thing happens, this bell rings in your head, and you say, oh dear, if I'm 40, I could be 50. I could be 60. I could be 90. What am I going to do? I don't want to eat cat food when I'm 90, so retirement plan. And watch yourself get serious. I did. Happened to me. Number 9. It's funny that I just mentioned retirement because number 9 is that you almost have to retire because you become markedly more tired. Now, I often tell the tale of when I was 22 and living at home, about to be a senior in college, and, well, I guess that I was 21, and my brother, who's much younger than me, was in my care while my parents were working. So summer vacation was on, I would stay up until 4:30 a.m. and I wasn't out carousing. I had no social life at all. I was just in my living room, just chillaxing, watching my show, writing. I'm a creative writer. And just, being myself. Then wake up at 8 o'clock, okay, a.m., and start all over again and do the laundry and do the cooking and do like my mother's work, while she was working, and take care of my brother and his friends and bring him to the pizza and the bowling alley and look for the little X-Men parts that they need to play with in the big bin of toys, and just keep on repeating that procedure. 4:30, 8 o'clock. I didn't miss a beat. 2 days ago, I went to CVS. It took so much out of me that I laid on my couch with my dog for an hour and a half and fell asleep for most of it. Ladies, the tiredness. Oh, the tiredness. According to my mother, it's in your 50s when it turns around, but that remains to be seen. So now let's go on to number 8. Now, number 8 may be tied to number 9, quite frankly. And I'm sorry that this is going to be a little personal or icky, but ladies, perimenopause. Okay? Now, studies have statistically shown that perimenopause, which is the period of time leading up to menopause and the stopping of our cycle, usually begins at around 38 to 42. And menopause itself is completed when you've not had your monthly visitor for 12 whole months in a row, right? So these are the times when you have to be extra armed if you're having sex to protect yourself, because ovulation is all way off the charts. And because you're way off the charts, your hormones are way off the charts. And because that's way off the charts, how many times can I say that phrase? Then what happens is you start feeling the symptoms. You may sleep too much, you may sleep not at all. Your eyesight may worsen. Your monthly visitor, well, they come without a reservation, either too close together or too far apart. Freaks a lot of people out, but listen, that's the human body. And the symptoms of perimenopause sort of take hold. For me personally, I experienced my first hot flash about 2 years ago. I experienced my first night sweats at just around that time. And it was also just around that time that my eyesight began to worsen, such that I have to squint when wearing my Tiffany glasses. But enough about me. Let's get on to the next number. So number 7, again, has its ties in the previous ones, which is that your weight can become an issue. Now, when I was 36 years old, I saw myself on video with my ex-husband, and I looked at my physical self and I was mortified, and so I began a campaign to lose weight. And through Zumba and 1970s starvation diet, which is basically baked potato and water and a tomato each day, I lost 50 pounds. Now, I put 10 back on, but lots of people say I look better. But the thing is, I had to do it at 36 because I knew damn good and well that when you reach a certain age, it gets harder to take off. I capitalized on still being in my 30s because I said to myself 2 things. I said, number 1, Linda, every day is not Thanksgiving. And if you know me, you know Linda loves her Thanksgiving. Oh, that is my death row meal. OMG. And the other thing I said to myself is that it's this or worse from now on. You're 36, you're not 19. You want to lose weight, you do it now. What are you going to do? Lose weight when you're 78? It's not going to work that way. Okay? God willing, I'm alive then. I'd like to look nice. That's my retirement. That's the time for kicking up my heels. So I'm going to look cute. And I proceeded to drop a whole bunch of pounds. That's awesome. But it's not the same for everyone. Weight becomes an issue. It is harder to take off because if you're in perimenopause, well, it's only natural that your hormones will dictate a different body shape, right? And it happens to all of us, and it just is. Sorry, ladies, but, Zumba helped for me personally. So if you want more information, I'll link some information about Zumba in the comments section because, OMG, it revolutionized my life. And now, number 6. Now, number 6, like I said, has its ties to the previous. You see how this goes in an order? Now, number 6 is your appearance. Now, it's interesting. I'm not going to tell you that it gets worse or it gets better. That's not what I'm talking about. Your appearance begins to either matter not at all to you or a hell of a lot more. Okay? Now, I have gone round after round with people in my life, my best friend primarily, actually, when I discuss my looks and the amount of effort I put into it. And she'll say something like, well, if you think you are ugly, then what are you doing on camera? What are you doing with a YouTube channel? What are you doing on an Instagram photo? Ugly people don't take selfies, and so you must only be saying you have trouble with your looks for attention. That's not true at all. I devote time to my looks because I don't start from zero. I happen to think I start a little less than other folks. So I need the winged eyeliner, and I need the Jeffree Star Artistry palette, and I need the hair straightener that's rose gold, because all my stuff is rose gold. And I need to check my, physical self out in the mirror before I go to work and whatnot to make sure that I look like a human. I have a lovely video up from a few self-care Sundays ago about feeling like a fraud, on the inside, and how, we adorn ourselves on the outside because we're secretly afraid of being unmasked, And so, ladies, one of two things happens when you hit 40. Either you're the person who says, you know what, I'm done dressing up for people. So the ponytail goes up and the yoga pants go on and the Adidas sneakers come out, or New Balance, quite frankly, is something I've seen a lot of. And the band tee and the hoodie, and there you have it. Nobody has time for makeup, and it's understandable. There are late in life babies we've had that need feeding. What are you gonna do? Be winging your eyeliner when the baby's crying? There's elderly parents we need to care for. There's teenage kids who are banging on the door saying, "Mom, I need to get into the bathroom." Right? So what are you gonna be doing? Curling your eyelashes? Right? So there are times when the middle-aged woman, the 40-plus woman, is like, well, screw my looks. I'm married. My husband enjoys me for who I am, right? Or I'm single and I choose to stay that way. I'm not dressing for men anymore, and the women around me at the office really don't give a flying you-know-what. So perhaps I'll just let it all hang out. Then there's the opposite people. The people like me. The person who's been flipping her hair for this entire video, as I always do. And we take extra care of our appearance. You see, I can't help what's wrinkled. And I can't help the sunspots, and I can't help the sagging jowls, and I can't help the parentheses that line my face and get higher and higher up the nose each passing year. Okay, I mean, I can help it. It's called Botox, but seeing as how I can't afford it yet, makeup is my friend. I enjoy Ulta very much. And so therefore, I figure dramatic eye makeup, that's my tactic. Because I say, hey, if they can't look anywhere but your eyes, right, for all the sparkle and whatnot, then they're not looking at the jowls. You've tricked the public, you see. The student becomes the master, and there you go. And I wear comfy clothes. I'm wearing yoga pants and a t-shirt right now, but I try to make it be very matchy-matchy. I add a scarf. I'm famous for scarves. I'm a huge scarf enthusiast, and I find that a simple scarf, my good friend Linda, who is a great deal older than I am, she's in a very different decade, she and I bond over all of our similarities. We're both named Linda, and we have this whopping amount of similarities, and we are scarf girls, and we truly believe that you put on jeans and a white t-shirt, you add a Burberry scarf, hot damn, you got an outfit. Okay? And so it's thoughts like this in our 40s that some people really cling to. I've always paid attention to my appearance because, as I've stated, I feel I need to work harder than some to get to human status so that I can be good-looking human status, but I could be talking out of my ass. That could be me. That could be self-esteem rearing its ugly head. So I'm just going to say that your appearance means either drastically more or drastically less to you at 40. And we're going to move it on. Now, we're halfway through the list here. And I think and I hope that you've noticed some kind of a pattern. That a lot of this has to do with the human body. Okay? Because retirement becomes necessary so that your old body, your 80-year-old body, God willing, can't do the stuff anymore. So while you still have it in you, it is good to do the work to sock it away. If you were born a trust fund baby, maybe it's different for you, but those of us who have been working for 20 plus years, we think about our older physical selves. The tiredness is physical. The perimenopause is physical. Appearance, wait, you see what I've said here? It's physical, okay? But the thing is that for the second half of this Top 10 Tuesdays, well, we're going to go with more of the psychological, the emotional, the stuff that happens in here and in here that's different once you hit 40. So here we go. Number 5. IDGAF. You know what that acronym stands for? I don't give a fuck. You learn this as you get older. You hit 40 and suddenly you say to yourself, I kind of don't care. Like, oh no, you're going to be 2 minutes late for work. You know what? What am I going to do? What am I going to stress out because the subway's late? IDGAF. Okay? Someone at work doesn't like you, and they call you names behind your back at the cubicle or in the break room or what have you. IDGAF. Okay? Your home, you have your home is under construction and you can't use your own bathroom for a while, and the man says, listen, it's going to take longer than expected to get the sink in order, so we're looking for parts, and you're going to be you can't use your downstairs bathroom for another month. I'm sorry, lady. IDGAF. Okay? Because at a certain point, real life horrible stuff has happened to you or to those people around you, and you've had to console them and stuff like that, or be consoled by them. So, like, who the hell cares if the subway is late? Who the hell cares if someone's calling you a name? What are we, in the 6th grade? Who the hell cares if the construction's going to take a week or two longer? Okay? You'll have a beautiful bathroom when it's finished, and IDGAF. You just say, you know something? I know that there are real problems on our planet. I'm not gonna, as they say, sweat the small stuff. IDGAF. Say it loudly and proudly. Tattoo it on yourself. It's awesome. And it's also season 5 of Grace and Frankie, but I'll save that for a top 10 video in the series that I watched that have changed me. Coming soon to Linda's World near you. But, number 4. In the IDGAF bandwagon here, you start to handle something specifically a lot better, and that something is death. Grief. Loss. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say, for the record, that since, well, it's been 5 years now. In the last 5 years, I have witnessed or heard of the deaths of my grandmother, my aunt, who is my mother's last remaining sister, the love of my life, Sophia the dog, who'd been with me since I was 25. Then my cat Emma, who we only had for 10 months, and she was a senior cat. Then my dad, okay? And shortly after my dad, my best friend's mother, from whom she was estranged, but it still took its toll in a different form. And so I've heard and seen a lot of deaths. Now that's not even counting the minor funerals. And I don't want to trivialize them and say minor because they were people and they lived, but people who weren't in my immediate circle. Like a friend of mine's grandfather recently, a good friend of mine who I've known since she's 1, her husband, by sheer medical accidents. I've gone in and out of a lot of somber rooms wearing a black blazer, okay, in the last 5 years, and it takes its toll on you. But the thing is, when you hit 40, it kind of almost doesn't, because, it's horrible, and grief is terrible, and, I still mourn my dad and my dog, to this day, but you know what to do there, you learn the words more, you learn the condolences, and, the procedures and what to do, and you're not a lunatic wreck, when you're at the gravesite. You cry, certainly, if you miss your loved one, but you can put it in its proper place and save your emotional hysteria for like later in your shower or your bedroom. You figure out what it is to do for funeral arrangements. You figure out how to talk to people that you haven't seen in 30 years at the funeral. You do death well. I know that sounds kind of icky, but like, it's a fact of life and it's true. And my first major death happened when I was 16. And if I look at who I was at my Aunt Kathy's funeral and who I was at my father's funeral almost 3 years ago, that's 2 wildly different Lindas. But I'm proud of that. We're getting there, folks, because number 3, this is interesting. Assuming that you are married, single, divorced, whatever, homosexual, heterosexual, doesn't matter. Okay, you tend to become romantically indifferent. Now, this sounds like a negative thing. It is such a positive. Okay, if you're a person who's married, right, and happily so, then you hit 40 and you're like, well, buddy, we're in this for life. Hopefully. You think so? Awesome. So do I. And so you just buddy up to your husband or your wife, and you just sort of link together in a you and me against the world phenomenon, and you don't have to try so hard because that person is there. If you were divorced, you feel the huge weight of oppression off your shoulders because people aren't looking at you like, hey, what's wrong with that girl? She's never been married. Oh, there must be a screw loose there. Something's wrong with that chick if she's never had a husband, right? I've had my husband. I'm done. So the onus is off me. People aren't pointing at me, you know? And so I'm not in a mad rush, not that I actually was even in my 20s, but most humans are, in a mad rush to pair up with another individual, right? So, because it proves something about yourself to others. You know, I always say lots of people are ready for a wedding, but not ready for a marriage. And so I was kind of ready for both, but the thing was, I realized later on that it's not that I wasn't ready. I was plenty ready. It didn't appeal to me. And my ex-husband and I had profound differences that one day I'll share with you in a video about the concept of marriage and divorce. And if you're a single person, you may kind of shut it down. You may say, you know what, I've been around. There have been men or women in my life that I've enjoyed the company of. I'm not looking, but I'm not looking either. If I meet the love of my life, then so be it. But I've got Netflix, I've got my cat or my dog, I've got my career, I'm fine. And if I happen to meet some fellow online or at the bar, or if I happen to meet a girl that I like, awesome. But right now, I'll stick. Romantic indifference. Oh, it clarifies so much. And it makes it so much easier to go on social media and not feel like you're making a jerk out of yourself. Just saying. Now, number 2 is probably my favorite on this entire list. Folks, you find tremendous value in doing nothing. Okay? Because it happens so infrequently. You know those memes about I can't adult today, or I looked around the room for a grown-up and realized it was me, right? That's so effing true. And so when you're over 40, it's interesting that the stuff that was bad for you when you were like 8 becomes awesome. Like, you know, when you're 8, it's like you can't go outside, you can't stay up late, you can't go to that party, right? And holy cow, that sounds like a blessing. I mean, if you tell me, Linda, you have to go to bed now. Oh, thank God. You mean I'm allowed to go in my bed? Oh, you mean my chores are over? You can't go to that party. Good. There's nobody there I want to see anyway. It's a whole bunch of jerks. You know, you can't go out tonight. Thank God. This Is Us is on. I don't want to miss it. Right? Okay. So that's the way you feel about things. You're like, you become just highly, highly valuable nothing time. Sitting literally in a chair and just staring out your window. You know, maybe you want to pick up your phone or some knitting needles or something, but other than that, you just sort of sit in a chair, pick up a book and read it. Go to bed at 10:30. Who cares? Because doing nothing is something that in our culture is not very valued, and you know, it's a hell of a more Eastern thing than Western thing, but over the age of 40, when someone cancels your plans, okay, I'm telling you straight up, I'm being totally honest. If you were supposed to go out to dinner with somebody or whatever, and at the last minute, oh, my kid has the flu, I can't go, the little jig of Glee Man dances in your head. Because then you know, that's awesome. You know what that means? That means I'm going to put on my yoga pants, I'm going to sit on my couch with my dog and my tea, and I'm going to watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Or maybe that's just me. And finally, our drum roll, because we're up to number 1. I can't do that. I'm not a good drum roller. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've spoken a lot this evening, and I thought about giving honorable mentions to this one. But then, honestly, I realized that I was going to sound a little redundant, because there's so many little things, you know, that even maybe I don't notice. You know, like, you know, your eyesight might worsen, or the ladies in the area aren't higher up or whatever, you know, certain subtle, like, physical changes like that. But I didn't want to bore you with that in the honorable mentions, because I honestly believe in the validity of this list, and especially the number one thing that changes for women, and quite frankly for men too, so I don't want to leave you guys out, in your 40s is this. You sit down one day and you engage in true, meaningful life review. You start to question. You know, you say, well, there's more of my life behind me than ahead of me. Okay, the national average for people who live and die in America, I believe it's 84. I could be inventing that statistic from something I heard. It used to be 79, but I believe it's higher now. And last time I checked was maybe 5 years ago. But assuming I live, now mind you, I could be 106 and be in a home somewhere with no memory. Or I could die tragically at 52. Like, I don't know. Okay, but let's assume the national average is, let's just say 80, right? Well, I'm more than halfway down that journey. I'm going to be 43 in April. So I would be remiss if I didn't engage in a life review. A person looks back. They say, well, have I been satisfied with my choices? Personally, professionally, romantically, psychologically, like, do I have a decent relationship with my family? And if not, should I have one? Am I happy with the romantic partners that I've chosen? Is there a one that got away? Do I want no romantic partner? Did I choose the proper career for myself? Or am I just floundering here getting through the day and I can't wait to not have this job anymore? Do you, maybe, you say, well, the door is closing for fertility. I don't have children. Was I in error there? Do I want a baby? Or, and this is a very unpopular opinion, you look at the house full of children you have and say, if I had it to do over again, would I still have these children? Or at least in the same way and manner and number, right? And so that's what a life review is. And it's because, you've lived a lot. You've been through the junior high school dance days, and you've been through the high school locker, and you've been through, the frat party, and you've been through 20-something in the city, and you've been to the bar, and you've had a couple of friends alienate you, and you've alienated them back, and you've taken them back. You've had a reunion after 20 years. You've had boyfriends and husbands that were mean to you, boyfriends and husbands that were nice to you. Like, you've had all kinds of stuff, right? And so you say, well, how much of that was good? How much of it was bad? How much of it was my choice? How much of it did just happen to me? And if I had it to do over again, how much of this would I do the same? Or would I change almost everything? That is a life review. And that's what happens after 40. Or at least it ought to. Well, I've said my piece. This video ran just a tad longer than I wanted it to this evening. And quite frankly, I'm going to go watch This Is Us. I know, I said it before, but I meant it. So, I'm done talking now. I'd like to hear from you. Ladies who are 40 and beyond, gentlemen who are 40 and beyond and would like to weigh in, because this isn't all us. I mean, maybe not the perimenopause, but you get my drift. Ladies who aren't quite 40 yet and are looking ahead to what might be. Ladies who've been in your 40s and been there, done that, and, bought the t-shirt and are in a difference decade from me. What do you think? Did I hit the nail on the head? Do you remember those days and say, aha, Linda, you've got it? Or, as I said, am I just making this up out of thin air? I don't think that I am, though, because I know from my experience and the experience I've heard people say to me over the years, people in my peer group, well, yeah, I kind of think I hit it. So, I'm anxious to hear from you. So, I'm going to go watch This Is Us now. I want you guys to internalize my list, especially if you're a woman in the same decade as me. And don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts down below, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. 100 by 4/20/20, baby. 100 subscribers, because I'm trying to make Linda's World kick off. I have plenty more to say. I honestly believe that there's people out there who truly want to know what it is I have to say, and will be all the better for it. So will I for having shared. So, Top 10 Tuesdays, another one's a wrap. I'm going to go be 43 now and watch TV with my dog in my yoga pants and chillax. Good night.